Have you ever wondered what paganism is and how it influences our modern world? Paganism, a term that has been used and often misused throughout history, traces its roots back to ancient Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Long before the advent of monotheistic religions, our ancestors were practicing forms of spirituality that were deeply connected with the natural world around them. These early religions, now often grouped under the umbrella term paganism, were characterized by a profound respect for nature, seeing divinity not as a distant entity but as an integral part of the world in which they lived. Their pantheon consisted of multiple deities, each with their own domains, stories, and personalities. Rituals were a significant part of their religious practice, often revolving around natural cycles and events such as the changing of seasons or the harvest. These practices were not only a means of worship, but also a way of life, deeply ingrained in their communities and cultures. By understanding the roots of paganism, we can better appreciate its influence on the world today. But what happened when Christianity began to spread across the globe? As Christianity began to proliferate, there was a fascinating period of transition from paganism. The conversion tactics were diverse, ranging from peaceful persuasion to forceful coercion. Particularly interesting is how Christian leaders often adopted pagan holidays, essentially rebranding them with Christian narratives. For instance, the winter solstice celebration was transformed into Christmas. Simultaneously, pagan deities were demonized, painted as malevolent spirits or false gods to dissuade the populace from their worship. Yet, despite Christianity's dominance, pagan practices survived, often in the form of folk traditions and superstitions. These remnants of paganism, subtly woven into the fabric of society, attest to the resilience of these ancient beliefs. So, while it may seem that paganism was eclipsed by Christianity, the reality is far more nuanced. Pagan beliefs and practices didn't simply vanish, they adapted, morphed, and found ways to endure. Paganism did not disappear with the rise of Christianity, but instead adapted and evolved. So, where does paganism stand in our modern world? In the 20th century, paganism experienced a significant resurgence. This revival, often referred to as neo-paganism, is a broad movement encompassing a diverse array of spiritual practices and beliefs. It is not a single, unified religion, but rather a complex tapestry of faiths that draw inspiration from ancient traditions. Prominent among these contemporary pagan movements are Wicca, Druidry, and Heathenry. Wicca, for instance, emerged in the mid-20th century and holds reverence for both a goddess and a god, celebrating the cycles of nature and the phases of the moon. Druidry, on the other hand, draws its inspiration from the spiritual traditions of the ancient Celtic peoples, emphasizing harmony with nature and the cultivation of wisdom. Heathenry, meanwhile, is inspired by the pre-Christian beliefs of the Germanic peoples with a focus on community and ancestral veneration. These modern pagan movements incorporate ancient practices, such as the celebration of seasonal festivals and the use of ritual magic. Yet they are not stuck in the past. They adapt to our contemporary contexts, addressing modern concerns such as environmentalism and gender equality, and offering a spiritual counterpoint to the materialism of the modern world. In the face of a rapidly changing world, paganism continues to offer a spiritual path that venerates the natural world and celebrates the diversity of the divine. But how does paganism influence our modern spirituality and religions? It's a fascinating question, and the answer lies in the myriad of ways we observe and practice spirituality today. Pagan elements are woven into the very fabric of modern spiritual practices and religious beliefs. For instance, have you ever wondered why we celebrate the equinoxes and solstices? These celestial events were of significant importance to pagans, marking the changing of the seasons and the cyclical nature of life. Today, many spiritualities continue to honor these times of year, recognizing their power and symbolism. The reverence for nature, a cornerstone of pagan belief, is also prevalent in modern spiritualities. We see this in the growing popularity of eco-spirituality and practices that promote a deep spiritual connection with the earth. This connection is also reflected in the acceptance of a multitude of deities, another pagan principle. Polytheism, or the belief in many gods, can be found in numerous contemporary religions and spiritual paths, each deity symbolizing different aspects of life and the universe. Moreover, paganism has left an indelible mark on art, literature, and popular culture. From fantasy novels filled with gods and goddesses to films that explore magic and myth, pagan themes are ever present, adding depth and richness to our cultural tapestry. Indeed, from our holidays to our spirituality, the roots of paganism are deeply intertwined with our modern world. This ancient belief system continues to shape and inspire, reminding us of our deep connections to the natural world and the myriad of ways we can experience the divine.